Zippers, chapter 16. I told you I'd be back. I think I missed a day. Oh, there goes a cat. There goes Sammy, otherwise known as Samantha. We've got a new roadway, a new cat roadway here. Okay, let's just get right into it. Chapter 16. All right. Jolie turned the gas off from her stove as the tea kettle whistled its readiness. See if I can do an imitation. She poured the steaming water over her valerian root and chamomile tea. New hat. Her sleep patterns had been damaged, messed up, ever since the breakup. On most occasions, when her Pacoima social networking neighbors partied until the beer intoxication reached a level of unawareness to their own volume, or they simply disregarded who they irritated, Jolie would put Chloe in her cat carrier and dash off to Jacob's place for the night. Too often, the partiers would launch the cat calls mixed with their derision for her, as she left with comments like, "Where are you going in such a hurry, Catwoman? What's the matter, your cat dying?" Or, "Who let the dog out of your yard?" With each incident like these, she begged God to help her find a way to move away from these entitled people, or to maybe find a way where they could be legally evicted, or to find at least one policeman or woman in Pacoima who actually didn't mind the paperwork needed for a noise ordinance violation report. 2 weeks before Christmas, Carson, one of the neighbors, drove up in. By the way, I have a neighbor by the name of Carson, and this was written before I met him, so this is no inference. If you're watching this, Carson, this has nothing to do with you. 2 weeks before Christmas, Carson drove up into the parking lot next to Jolie's. It was Thursday, 12:30 a.m. He blasted the worst kind of rap music even rap lovers would find horribly annoying at such an hour, from the fancy car stereo of his Ford Fiesta, until Jolie finally came out of her apartment, dressed only in her bathrobe and slippers. Marshall, the other roommate, and two more of their frequent visitors were perched on top of the car's hood. "Would you please turn that thing down?" she shouted, losing it completely and regretting it for the first time as neighbors. Immediately, Carson switched off the car's engine and said in a sweet but very phony fake voice, "I was just about to." The next evening, Carson did exactly the same thing again, only this time it was 2 a.m., and the music was even louder. "I can't believe those jerks," Jolie said out loud. She once again grabbed her bathrobe and headed to the carport. All civility, all polite patience was totally out of the question at this point. Short of cussing their smirking faces off, Jolie stormed into the fray of Carson, one of his loud girlfriends, Marshall, and another of their friends. Unbeknownst to her, they were all waiting for her with their iPhones poised to video what they saw as a golden moment to show everybody how crazy their animal nut neighbor was. It was a planned trap. This time, she screamed at the top of her lungs to turn their damn stereo off with a screeching, "I can't sleep!" Hope I didn't overpeg the meters there. Added for good measure. That was when she saw Carson's cell phone in video pose in a little red light. Shit, she thought, and spun back around. They turned off the car stereo, and in the most derisive, loudest voice, Marshall shouted, "Hey, Julie Newmar, want to come to our party tonight?" She wanted to flip them all off, but instead shouted a desperate response, knowing all of the moments would be caught on video for their friends. She headed to her apartment, where she crawled back into bed with her cat. By 3 a.m., the party Marshall alluded to began. With horrible ukulele, harmonica, and some of the out-of-tune guitars making their way through thin walls, she pressed her pillow around her poor ears. Discordant singing and laughter ensued. Drunk banter began and never seemed to end. By 4 a.m., she for once decided to call the cops. She missed Jacob. She missed him and her together once chance to escape the low-income incubus environment and the consequences it brought her starving artist's life almost on a daily basis. But his own dramas forced that possibility away for good. She squeezed a pair of overused, earwax-plagued foam earplugs into the sides of her aching head. Boy, that was a short chapter. That was chapter 16. And now we go, because we got a lot of time here left with our 10-minute allotment. Here's chapter 17. All right. Now, it was a week before Christmas, and everyone on the jury, along with the judge, even though this was the case of the year, the most publicized one for the country, had Christmas break and holiday with relatives and friends on their minds. Everyone involved with this ill-timed event was hoping they'd gift wrap this one within a day or so. Actually, I'm not too confident we can get the tape of this Merrill guy admitted as evidence, Jacob, said Herschel as Pepper's car was pulling into the parking lot. A secretly recorded tape with entwined corporate entanglements in all this mess. It may not be met with a friendly, understanding judge. I know, it was my idea to flick the switch on, but I doubt we can get this in on any level. And even if we could, these sharks we're up against, they could say the voice was altered, that we got someone to impersonate Merrill. That's the way technology is these days. Again, I know, answered Jacob as he slammed his door shut. I know. Pepper was holding the cat carrier with zippers inside. Guys, if that tape is useless in a court of law and it won't be able to sway public opinion, why did he even tape it, Herschel? I don't know, Pepper. I just think we needed to hear it more than once. You and I. Zippers chimed in. We don't need the tape. We need the sister. Huh? Herschel blurped. The sister. She was saved by Jacob's work. She was helped. Cured even. I guess if it's a cat paw, it should be more like this. Cured even. If you can get her on the stand, and me, which you already have, the swain could sway in good ways. We'll have to close there because there's my 10-minute mark. GulleryBooks.com. Get the book. Bye-bye. And the Queen says,